Hello everybody and welcome to Studio One TV. My name is Doug Goodman and for the next half hour or so we're going to bring you up to date with a show that's been on Studio One TV for a number of years called Tiger Talk. And of course Studio One is played back on Charter Channel 180 or VAST 17. We also have Tiger TV where you may also be viewing this show. That's on Charter Channel 181 and VAST 95. So again, welcome to this late November edition of Tiger Talk. And with me once again is one of my favorite guys on Tiger Talk, co-host, and we've got special guests coming up, Superintendent of Marshall Public Schools, Scott Munson. Welcome, Scott.
Hey, thanks a lot, Doug. I appreciate being here.
Well, it's always good to have you on the show, and obviously we pre-record these shows so that we get a chance to talk about some of the things that maybe have been happening or things that are coming in the future. And I know you've got a school board meeting coming up here in about a half an hour, 45 minutes. Mm-hmm. So we want to kind of go over some of that stuff, but yet go back maybe. It's November. We've had a chance to work our way through the first quarter. And parent-teacher conferences have been happening, and kids are kind of now adjusted and what they need to do and how we need to take care of some of the issues out there. But I know that as we talked prior to this taping, there's a facility survey that's going on, and maybe you'd share with our viewers a little bit about that.
You bet. We contracted, our board approved a contract or an agreement with a firm out of Minnesota here to do a random phone survey of district residents about a variety of topics, many of which focused on sort of their perceptions relative to facilities and a lot of things that fit in with facilities. So Morris Leatherman and Associates conducted, I believe, 400 15 to 18 minute phone surveys with district residents, and they've compiled the results. They're going to present them at the school board meeting like you talked about, and just sort of lay out, here's some things to think about as the school board moves forward with what to do relative to facilities in the future. As you know, we had the failed referendum in May, and instead of going right back out, maybe even in November or December or whatever, with another referendum, our board talked about we need to know what's out there in terms of how people in the community feel. Do they support certain things that were a part of the referendum or certain things that fit in with facilities more strongly than they support other things? So the survey was about, I think it was about 50 or 60 questions. Like I said, it took on average of 15 to 18 minutes. And it asked everything from, do you support, or what's your level of support for small class sizes? How do you think the district has done in terms of managing the finances of the district? Do you have enough opportunities for input? Do you receive enough information? So the survey wasn't just about facilities, it was about other things that I think are going to help us not only as we look forward to what we're going to do with facilities in the future and really try to address our space needs, but also what can we do better and what are we already doing well, and how do we use that information from our district residents to make even better decisions and really invest our resources, which, time, talent, and money essentially, in terms of trying to figure out how to just continue to get better. So I'm excited for the opportunity to hear the results of the cumulative results of the survey. And Morris Leatherman has done a lot of these for many districts that have situations where they know they need to do something with facilities. And I think from what we researched and what we found out, that I'm pretty confident we're going to get some good information and ideas as we move forward, and those things will help us really figure out, do we come back with another referendum? Is it the same? Is it more? Is it less? Do we wait a couple of years or different things like that? Ultimately, that's up to the school board, but I think the results of this survey, and again, district residents' input, thoughts, and perceptions are going to be a real helpful factor for our school board as they move forward and try to make those decisions.
Really, surveys and all of this good stuff is an ongoing process within our school district, but this is kind of a special one.
It is. You know, Doug, every year we survey our students, our staff, and our parents at each building, and we add all those together, if you will, and look at the cumulative effect of, you know, do our students feel safe? Do our parents feel that their children are getting a good education? Just right on down the line, do our staff enjoy working here? Are they proud to be a part of the district? That's an annual thing. We do surveys periodically for special reasons. They're not at the level or as important maybe as this one, where this was a survey where we really felt like we needed somebody to help us with that process, because we're talking about trying to address our space and facility needs now and into the next 10 or 15 years, and that's such an important thing, and we can't do that just by writing out a check as a school district. You know, if we want to do something with facilities, we have to be strategic, and ultimately we have to ask our public to support that. So knowing what our public does and doesn't support relative to the district in general, but also our facilities, I think is such an important piece of knowledge because of the longevity of our planning that we're looking for, that we felt like this was a special thing. Like you said, let's do it right. Let's get the information that we need to make an informed decision. And I believe after Peter Leatherman, one of the owners of Morris Leatherman, after he shares those results, I think we're going to have that, and our board's really going to have to take a look at what the results showed, take a look at what he shares, and figure out how to move forward from there.
Sounds great. We'll look forward to hearing those results, and maybe on our next show we'll be able to share those with our viewers. And you mentioned the school board, and we just completed a tough election. I mean, across the country.
It was.
Did that election affect our school board at all?
You know, it didn't affect our school board. We had 3 vacancies and 3 candidates that were running, so we anticipated it would be the 3 that were 2 that were reelected, and then the addition of Bill Swope to Kurt Kovash's vacated position because Kurt resigned back in, I think it was October or September or something like that. So, you know, we're glad to pull that group together here after the 1st of January. 5 of our board members have been around for a long time now. They're veterans. They know what being a school board member is. They're focused on kids. They're just really, they work well together. I think Bill's going to come in and with his real background in education, and anybody that knows Bill knows that his heart is all about the kids, and that's really what you want as a school board, for a school board member. You know, from a state perspective, with both the House and Senate now becoming having Republican majorities, it's going to be a little bit more interesting with the GOP majorities in the House and Senate, and then a Democratic governor, and what their priorities are going to be when the legislative session starts in early January, and it being a 2-year budgeting session and everything. We anticipate that there will be some policies and certainly some budgeting items that will get discussed and ultimately decided during the legislative session that will have an effect on education. We don't know what those will be. There's still a lot of speculation about what the state's budget forecast, which I think comes out here in December, a preliminary one, and then another more formal one in February. That will affect our funding for the next 2 years, so for the 2017-18 and 2018-19 school years. But we think there could be some pretty significant policy things that come out of the legislature too. Having said that, the governor always has the ability to veto things, so I think it's going to be really interesting from the state level. Nationally, with President-elect Trump taking over here after the 1st of the year, we're not really certain what his education policy and initiatives and real priorities are yet. So we're kind of waiting to figure out what that is. And obviously we think education is really important. We're going to try to watch as much of the information as possible coming from professional organizations, just trying to get an understanding of how important education is to him and what will happen when he takes office. There's been some speculation about him wanting to put more local control in the hands of the school board and diminish the role of the United States Department of Education. That could be interesting because a lot of things come from Washington and the U.S. Department. So I think that's an example of where we're not really sure what's going to happen. I don't think we're concerned or alarmed about it, but we're maybe just interested in finding out what's this going to look like 6 months from now or a year from now once we have a more clear picture of what his priorities are.
Well, that's very well said, and I think our entire country is going to kind of see how this all plays out. And there's a lot of questions out there. Time will tell, obviously, but it sounds like our school board is a very stable group and will do a great job addressing our local issues. And we'll continue to keep our viewers updated as we roll through the next 6 months or so.
You know, and that's a great way to put it, I think, Doug. They are, because of their longevity on the board, and they have provided, I think, a lot of leadership, and there is going to be stability there. And we are always going to do what's best for the kids at Marshall. That's their job. That's our job. That's what our focus will continue to be, regardless of what's happening in St. Paul or in Washington, D.C. We're going to focus on the Marshall students and families and staff and community in general. And it's good to have the leadership that's coming back, you know, with Karen Van Coolen and now Bill Swope, Jeff Chapman, Matt Coleman, Dion Karen, and Bill Malso. I'm just confident that they're going to continue to do a great job.
Sounds great. 2 more topics, and then we're going to take a little short break and get your special guest on, Amanda Grinager. But the 2 things I want to talk about: fall sports, fall season's wrapped up. We're in blizzard conditions now. Before we get to the blizzard stuff, give us a quick feedback a little bit on how our fall activities, sports, we had some great success, didn't we?
We really did, and you know, all of our students have a lot of opportunities to participate in co and extracurricular activities, and you look at everything that started way back in August, and certainly even during the summer there were a lot of different things happening, more on the unorganized level, if you will, but our students got to participate in a variety of different things, whether they were in marching band or you know, soccer, certainly football, volleyball, cross country, and we had a lot of individuals and teams who experienced success in terms of qualifying for state tournaments and getting all conference and other honors and whatever. But the thing that I continue to see when I go to our events is just students working hard, being good role models, being competitive, and that can be, you know, a variety of different levels, but just having a lot of opportunities and really representing our school district and our community well. We're very, very proud, I think, of all of our activities, and that'll be one of the things that I think will come out of the survey that we were talking about, is just how many opportunities our students have through co and extracurricular activities and how well supported that was, or how strongly people feel in a positive way about those and those opportunities. So really proud of all the Tigers, whether they're in sports or co-curricular activities, and all the efforts that they did. Certainly our coaches, advisors, and directors. Fortunately, every season comes to an end, and obviously our football season came to an end, but in a great place, in a $1 billion stadium, and what a thrill for those kids. So we're looking forward to the transition into the winter season, and same thing, a lot of opportunities for kids to participate, and again, I know that our kids will be great role models and work hard, and we'll have varying levels of success, but at the end of the day, they'll be involved, and that's what we want.
Sounds great. So special thanks to all of the folks that were involved with our fall activities, events, sporting events, all of our programs. Hats off to you all for another great season, and our community for having the opportunity to watch our kids in action. And with that, again, good luck to all the winter sports seasons that are beginning. In fact, I think basketball, wrestling, a couple of them start today. So
Yep.
Yeah, we're off and rolling.
Absolutely.
Okay, last but not least, before we get to Amanda, you know, every fall, November comes around and we think, oh, we're going to have a nice fall, whatever. We've had a wonderful spring, summer, and typically we see a few flakes come down and we think, winter's just around the corner. Well, last week get more than just a few flakes, and we had a full-fledged blizzard. You, I'm sure, weren't anticipating have to make some of those tough calls this early in the season, but you know, our viewers out there, and Marshall Public Schools does a great job of, you know, sometimes at the last minute, notifying parents, families, students that either school's on or off, or it's really quite a process, isn't it?
It is, and we've been pretty fortunate the last couple winters where we haven't had to make many of those calls, but and to my knowledge, none for several years in November. So it's a little bit earlier than we wanted to get going, but hopefully all of our mass communication systems are working and everybody's signed up for Blackboard Connect. We're doing text messages this year to families now, which we haven't done before. I know I got a couple text messages in the cities and different things, but it is a process. Even, you know, Thursday night we knew that we weren't going to start school on time Friday morning and tried to notify families as early as possible with that. And even Friday morning, text messages and phone calls and whatnot started about 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning, but we just need to make sure that our staff and our students and families are safe, and we're going to continue to try to notify folks the night before if possible. That won't always be possible, but in cases like this one where we knew that the forecast had to significantly change in order for us to have school, we felt like let's for sure put the 2-hour late start out there and then make a decision in the morning after, you know, the National Weather Service and others update their forecast or whatever. But it seems really early to be having conversations about snow days, and with no school on that Friday, I think it was November 18th or whatever it was. Now we're going to need to make that up in January. The first makeup day is the 16th of January. We had a staff development day scheduled that day, but we'll bring students in, and that'll be a student contact day. So just a note to all the families that we're going to have school on January 16th, which is a Monday, and we have some other snow days that we can use if we need to, one in February and I think one in March or April, but let's hope we can stay away from those if possible. But one of the main things to families is just make sure that you have alternative plans in place for your children. You may not be able to drive into town to get them if we're, you know, sending buses out, or you might have to work or be out of town because of a job or a commitment or whatever, and we like our families to all have in-town homes, if you will, backup emergency type homes, and if you're not signed up on Blackboard Connect through your child or children's school, we want that to happen. We certainly still work with the radio stations and the local TV stations and whatnot, but nowadays our Blackboard Connect is our quickest way to get the message out to families. So I think it's really important that if you've, you know, changed address, or you now have different people that you want notified when there's inclement weather, that we update that. And if you're not sure how to do that, just call your child's the office at your child's school, and they'll be able to walk you through that. So let's hope we don't have to use it anymore, Doug, but if we do, we want people to be prepared.
If we do, we've already had the experience of
Exactly.
We're ready to go.
Yep.
All right, that sounds good. Well, our time is running short here. We wanted to do about a 15-minute segment. We've got another 15 minutes yet to go. I want to thank you, Scott, Superintendent of Marshall Public Schools, for, again, taking the time. We try to do these once a month. Obviously, they're shown on Studio One TV, where public, educational, and government access to shows just like this are a part of our community. So if you want to continue to watch, check us out. We're online, www.studioone.com. We're on city websites, school websites. There's links all over where you can watch shows like this and respond, if you'd like, to some of the things we've talked about. So, Scott, thank you once again. As we roll into December, many more things ahead, and we're looking forward to all of that. So we're going to take a short break right now. Won't be very long, and we'll be back with Scott and a special guest, Amanda Grinager. Thank you for watching. Good evening.
Hi, everybody. I'm Scott Munson, Superintendent here in Marshall, back for the second part of this program to talk with Amanda Grinager, our Director of Teaching and Learning in the Marshall Public Schools. And Amanda, you and I meet a lot, and we spend a lot of time together talking about a variety of things that are important, but maybe our parents and community members don't know a whole lot about. Things like achievement integration, world's best workforce, SIOP, standards-based grading, a lot of different topics that we could talk about. One of the things that's becoming more prevalent, as you and I have visited about before, is the world's best workforce. It's been around for a while. It's in legislation. I think now we're in maybe our third or fourth year with it. And we thought it might be beneficial to share some information with our community members and our families and others about what that is, what it means, so on and so forth. So how should we start that? What should we share about the world's best workforce?
Well, I think I'll just start with what it is. And you're correct when you say it's been around for a little while. The World's Best Workforce Plan was passed in 2013, and with the goal of really making sure that districts are increasing student achievement, and also with the focus on career and college readiness for students to make sure that they're ready to go out into the workforce and be the workers for us.
Really our future. And
Yes.
I know several years ago there used to be an emphasis on college and career readiness, heavy emphasis on college. And now with the World's Best Workforce, I think that's sort of turned around a little bit in terms of we and our state leaders still want that emphasis on college, but now there's also more of an emphasis on career, and it's more career and college ready because not every job in the future or even today requires a 4-year degree and so on and so forth. So the world's best workforce, it's in law. It's something that as a district we have to have a plan for, which we have had for a number of years. It's broken into some different areas. What can you tell us about and tell our audience about those different areas, goals, focus areas, whatever you want to call them?
Every district has to have 5 goals, and those goals are that all children should be ready for kindergarten, that all children should be reading at grade level by 3rd grade, that we want to reduce the achievement gaps in all areas. We want our students to be college and career ready, and we want all students to graduate from high school.
So good goals, obviously, and everything from kindergarten to graduation and a lot of different things in between. So what's an example of, or how would we work on getting students college or career and college ready? What as a district are we doing in that area, for example?
Well, at our middle school, we start there where we have students start looking at career and college opportunities. And we have something that's called MCIS, which is a program that does some surveys to help them identify their likes and dislikes and what would be a good career for them.
Sure.
Then they start putting together a portfolio of information that's going to help them prepare them for high school and then beyond. And that career and college portfolio will move with them through high school, and they'll keep adding to it and making adjustments to it. But then at the high school level, we also do the pre-ACT in grade 10 to help students to identify where they are at if they were to take the ACT. So are they prepared? It kind of gives them a predictor of their score when they do take the ACT in grade 11 or 12. So are they low in math? Should they be taking some more math classes? Sure. Are they low in their reading areas? Should they be taking some more language arts classes? Maybe it's science. And so it just helps them prepare, especially for those kids who know this is what I want to do. I want to go to college. I want to make sure I have a good ACT score. So it's just one of those things to help kids make decisions about what classes they should be taking to help them prepare for their ACT in college.
Okay. So we have goals in each of these areas, Amanda, and within different districts, the goal in Worthington for all students ready for kindergarten, their specific goal might be different than ours, just like their goal in terms of their graduating all students might be different. What do we do then? Okay, so we set this goal as a district, what do we do? Do we combine them all into a plan? Once we have that document, what do we do?
Well, hopefully when we are creating, or we have a strategic plan that we look to guide our work, and we have building school continuous improvement plans then that are aligned to that strategic plan. And hopefully what we have done with our World's Best Workforce is that we are aligning that to our school continuous improvement plans as well, so that we have an opportunity to look at that and update that and work with our teachers on key strategies and actions that need to be done throughout the year to help us get to our goal. And so it may include things of like, what are the key indicators for that? What does it look like when it's done? What do we want that to look like? Who's going to be responsible for those action steps? And when we have school continuous improvement plans, our site leadership teams are looking at those on a regular basis, along with the whole entire building when they do staff meetings, or maybe it's through their newsletters that the building principals are looking at those on a regular basis and helping staff remind them of what we're working on this year. So it's not something that we just type up and put on a shelf. It's something that we are continually looking at throughout the school year.
And I like the word that you used, alignment, because we have a world's best workforce plan that, like you said, has different components to it, one for each of those 5 areas, but we've also, I think, worked pretty hard to align our site continuous improvement plans at each building or each learning level with how that might positively affect one or more areas in the world's best workforce plan. And then obviously we design staff development to align with all of that, and we certainly bring curriculum review changes in line that we think are going to help also align with that too. There were some changes to the world's best workforce recently. Can you just maybe pick out 1 or 2 of those so folks can get a sense of sort of how it's revising itself through the legislature, if
I
you
sure
will?
can. I actually picked out 3 that I
Okay.
thought were important for us to be aware of, and for parents and community members to be aware of. We have to identify in our plan a process to assess and identify students to participate in gifted and talented programs and to accelerate their instruction. So I think that's a very important one. I'm looking forward to see how we can incorporate that into our plan. Another one that I selected was we need to incorporate strategies for improving instruction, curriculum, and student achievement, which I think is something that we're always working on.
Yeah.
And then another one was a process to ensure low-income and minority children are not taught at higher rates than other children by inexperienced, ineffective, or out-of-field teachers.
And that's an interesting one because we've talked about that, how theoretically a kindergarten student might start out with the best kindergarten teacher that we have, however you define best. They might have a different teacher in first grade who's the best first grade teacher, same thing in second grade, and all of a sudden they've got the benefit of having 3 or 4 years worth of really outstanding and excellent teachers, which we want all of our teachers to be and to do, but we also have some inexperienced folks that need a few years to get to that level. So now with this change, we need to just really ensure that our student placement is smart and strategic, and that we're tracking to make sure that we're really working to provide the best quality teacher to students on a consistent basis. So yeah, that one has been an interesting discussion for us. So we have this plan, Amanda, and I believe, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that folks can find that on our website if they want to. We've got a meeting coming up here in December. Do you want to talk about that, and maybe we can get some folks to attend it?
Yeah, we have a public meeting for World's Best Workforce on December 12th. It's a Monday, here in this room, the boardroom, from 6 to 7. And we look forward to seeing people.
And we'll go longer if we need to. We would love to have people who attend that meeting. Again, that's Monday, December 12th, 6 o'clock in the school board or professional development room at the Marshall Middle School. That meeting, and Amanda can jump in, that meeting is our opportunity to say, here's what our World's Best Workforce Plan is. Here's how we've done in each of the 5 goal areas. Here are some changes we're going to be making moving forward in a continuous improvement effort. What questions, ideas, or input do you want to give us? And we do use that when we've had, this year especially, we've had meetings with almost a variety of a lot of our teaching staff looking for ideas from them, which I don't believe we've ever done before. Seems kind of backwards, admittedly, but we're getting input from folks, and we really want to make the world's best workforce as good as it can be. So again, we'd invite everybody to come to that meeting, 6 o'clock p.m. in the middle school professional development room on Monday, December 12th. Anything else, Amanda? I know we could talk about this a long time. We do frequently during the week, but is there anything else that you think right now it's important to share with folks? Perhaps we can have you come back in December and we can talk about our world's best workforce plan moving forward. But right now, is there anything else that you want to share?
Our summative report, which is due to the state on December 15th every year. So we have a plan that is our basically step-by-step process of how we're going to meet these goals. It also takes a look at our curriculum information. It takes a look at our staff development, takes a look at our teacher evaluation and support system. But really, it helps us ensure that we're going to meet those goals. That's our plan, but we don't only submit a summative to the state, and that's done by December 15th every year, and ours is already submitted.
Yep, that's like saying that we're done and here's how we did in 2015-16. We wanted to get that done right away so we could really focus on 2016-17 and move forward from there. We didn't even talk about assessments. I know we had that on our list to talk about. We didn't talk about achievement and integration, so maybe that's something, again, that we can talk about either in December or January and follow up on some of the world's best workforce basics. So Amanda, thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
And talking world's best workforce with me. Again, I'm Superintendent Scott Munson of the Marshall Public Schools. Thanks for your time and hopefully you enjoyed the show.